7. Barrett outside the switch. Doncic goes all the way. And then he hammers it home. Broke his ankles.
The Philadelphia 76ers are all in. They are all in. They go on to land the big fish, James Harden. And there was all these discussions, all these talks last year that the Philadelphia 76ers, they're going after James Harden. But Sixers fans went on to be disappointed because he went on to be traded to the Brooklyn Nets. That did not work out. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, they only played a combined 16 games together. James Harden ended up not being happy. And first off, that trade was a disaster because I remember like their GM saying, I'm not going to make the same mistake the other GM made, King, and just give up the entire future for one player. And they did exactly that. They gave up their draft capital. They ended up giving up Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, some young promising players, some depth for one guy, which I didn't think he fit the team. I thought they were fine with Jared Allen, LeVert, you have Durant, you have Irving. I thought it was a very well-constructed team. I thought they just got very greedy, and I didn't like the fit at all. But obviously, this season, James Harden has really made it known that he doesn't like being in Brooklyn. And he requested a trade to the Philadelphia 76ers. We know Ben Simmons, he choked in the playoffs big time, passing up a wide-open shot, not executing from the free throw line, absolutely fading away in the fourth quarter, not playing like his height. He's 6'10", but he played like Muggsy Bogues in the playoffs. So this trade was very realistic here. Like both sides, two guys that wanted out. And Ben Simmons, am I the biggest fan of Ben Simmons? No, but he's still a very talented player. And he was someone that made sense for the Nets to trade for because he's the complete opposite of James Harden. He does like kind of the complete opposite of what James Harden does out there on the floor. He's not aggressive scoring the basketball. He's a way better defensive player. He has a lot of size. I'm not saying James Harden doesn't have size, but also Ben Simmons needs to consistently play at his size. He's very capable of rebounding the basketball. He's good at boxing out. Like, he can push it in transition. He's someone that's not really going to slow down the offense, if you know what I mean. And I'm really interested to see what his role is going to be with the Brooklyn Nets. If it's going to be even more simplified. You're probably wondering, how could it even be more simplified? He doesn't shoot jumpers. Is it going to be in that Draymond Green type of role? But even if you're in a Draymond Green type of role, you're a starter at the end of the day. So you do have to consistently play aggressive no matter what. As long as you're on a basketball team, no matter what role it is, you have to consistently play aggressive. So is Ben Simmons going to bring that every night? Like, no one knocks his talent. I'm not even talking about the three-point shot. I'm not even talking about the free throws, which actually maybe this ties into it. It's mental. Is his confidence going to be there in Brooklyn? And maybe he did kind of win this trade. I feel like a lot of people won this trade because he ends up going to a contender, not like he ends up going to like a small market team that's not winning games, you know? Even though I thought that would have been a good fit for him. So he goes to a good team that doesn't even have real fans. So that's a plus. Nets fans are way different from 76ers fans because 76ers fans are passionate. They're just real, true fans, while the Nets really don't have any fans. But shout out to the real ones. We know they're mostly bandwagons, if we're being real here. But let's get into the details. And by the way, like, we'll get into it, but the Nets are trading James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-rounders. Also, the 76ers get Paul Millsap. Hasn't played much. He didn't play much in a Brooklyn Nets uniform, only averaging like 3 points per game. But he's still a veteran who was better in the playoffs with the Atlanta Hawks. You know, the Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague days, like that, like Al Horford. First off, who cares about the draft picks? I know some people are making such a big deal about the draft picks. If you want to win a championship, you go all in. And the Sixers are going to be one of the best teams in basketball. They already are. They're going to continue to get better with this move. So, yeah, you're going to get some picks that are, like, very late, that are going to be, like, in the 27 to 30 range. Like, who gives a shit, honestly, about those first-round draft picks? Seth Curry, he's a nice player. He's a good shooter of the basketball. He's a catch-and-shoot guy. He could perform off the dribble a little bit, not, like, crazy. He has that nice little step back, but he's not that versatile of a scorer. I feel like you need more versatility in the playoffs. The Sixers were lacking that other guy that could really take pressure off of an Embiid. If Tobias Harris is struggling, Maxi's still young. He may tend to have an off night. So obviously James Harden's a lot more versatile of a player. I'm not comparing them here, But Seth Curry, I know he's been struggling lately. He's a good player. They're really going to miss his shooting, but he doesn't provide defense. And that's a guy you have to give up if you're trading for a James Harden. Andre Drummond. Drummond, I thought, played like a beast for the Philadelphia 76ers, rebounding the basketball. I thought he had an efficient year. He didn't give up. He just played his ass off like throughout those games when I watched the Philadelphia 76ers play. And I feel like that's kind of going to hurt the Sixers because we know Joel Embiid, he does tend to have those injury scares. Sometimes he just falls on the floor and he just wants to give us a heart attack. But who's their backup big going to be? They definitely are lacking that backup pick. Are they going to go on to signing that as freedom? Are they okay with Charles Bassey? But he's young, so I wouldn't really be confident with that. Are they going to go out there signing Aaron Baines, who's in free agency, could stretch the floor? So you definitely do have to figure that out. Like Drummond was big time when Embiid was having a breather. Like he still was able not to match a production, obviously, of Joel Embiid. He's one of the best players in the game. Like a top 5, top 10 player in the game, in my opinion, the best center in the game. You're not matching that production, but Drummond was a damn good backup center. Obviously, I didn't care about the first-round picks. Ben Simmons, we'll see what his role goes on to be. But, like, both sides wins. James Harden wanted to be in Philly. And now the Sixers fans, or just the Sixers organization, could just be like, we did our job. Now it's time for Doc Rivers to execute the plan. Now it's time. Because Joel Embiid, one of the best players in the game, one of the most talented centers I've ever seen. He can do it all out there on the floor. He's one of the most dominant bigs we'll ever see. He'll go down as one of the most dominant bigs of all time, even without a title. It's the eyeball test. It's the numbers. You watch this dude play basketball, it's insane. So, Daryl Morey, the organization, even if this doesn't work out, you could be like, we did our best of getting Joel Embiid help. It's not like we didn't help him at all. So for the first time in his career, they get an aggressive backcourt guy who could really get him involved. Ben Simmons, he handled the basketball, but was he consistently aggressive offensively? Was he always engaged mentally? No, he was not. Now you have James Harden, who's just one of the best players in the game that you're giving help to Joel Embiid. There's just no excuses there. They're helping out Joel Embiid, and I feel like I hope it's not isolation like crazy because James Harden and Joel Embiid in the pick and roll would be absolutely nasty. I feel like that would be one of the most unguardable like pick and rolls we'll ever see. But you have a guy that could take pressure off of Joel Embiid. You can maybe give him a little bit of a breather like down the stretch of basketball games because, at least in the regular season, obviously, because James Harden is capable of creating separation with the step back, working down the lane. This team is going to draw so many fouls. Like Joel Embiid and James Harden are going to get to the free throw line like crazy. Obviously, the current concern is in the playoffs. Like, Harden still puts up numbers in the playoffs, but his efficiency definitely does dip. So, we don't know how the fit's going to be. Like, at the end of the day, when a trade goes down, it could be the best player in the world. We could say it's going to be a great fit and all that, but we won't know it until it's actually out there on the floor. How will he gel with a Danny Green? How will he gel with a Tobias Harris? How will he gel with a Tyrese Maxey? We won't know until we actually see it out there on the basketball floor. But the thing that was so awesome, if you're a Sixers fan, you didn't have to give up Thibault, who's a glue guy defensively. Yes, he does need to get better knocking down his open threes. You didn't have to give up a Maxey, who's a young player, still playing extremely well. He's probably your point guard of the future, at least in my opinion. And you didn't have to give up a Tobias Harris. You still have so much talent on this roster. And Doc Rivers, when he was with Boston, when he's coaching in his NBA career, he thrives with good offenses. This is a good offensive basketball team. This is a very good offensive basketball team, at least on paper right now. You have Maxey. Maxey, he could score in bunches. He's proven that. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. James Harden, we know he's one of the most professional scorers of the basketball, one of the most versatile. You have Danny Green. You get knocked down a three there and there. Like, you never know with Danny Green. Tobias Harris, when he's on, he's a scoring machine. He has a lot in his bag. Joel Embiid, he has the dream shake. He has the turnaround fadeaway. He can shoot it from the outside. Like, he's averaging damn near 30 points per game. I believe he's a scoring leader right now. Or he's leading the NBA in points. But I feel like the Nets and the Sixers both win. Because the Nets get size with the Drummond and Simmons. But it all comes down to Simmons. How will he be in that crunch time moment? Because, yes, even if he's in a simplified role, let's say the big play at the end of the game, Durant's doubled, or they're just doing a really good job blitzing him outside on the perimeter, They take away Kyrie. By the way, Kyrie could only play away games right now. So that's a big-time concern in the playoffs. Kyrie could only play away games because he's not vaccinated. We're not going to get political here. But you never know what's going to happen with that. Like, the Nets in the playoffs. So, there's going to be games that it's just Durant. It's just like a Bill Simmons. I was thinking freaking podcast. When there's a Ben Simmons out there on the floor and he has to make an aggressive play. Is he going to turn around? Is he going to turn away from that? Or is he going to fade away from that big-time pressure? So, the Nets, they got a good player, but how will he be down the stretch of basketball games? We know he's a beast defensively. His versatility is off the charts. Great passer of the ball. But will he be afraid when he steps to the free throw line? Are they going to, like, not even simplify his role? His role is going to be even, like, bigger to make him more aggressive as a player. But Steve Nash can tell him whatever he wants. Amari Stoudemire from that coaching staff could tell him whatever he wants. Chuck Vaughn. But if Ben Simmons isn't there mentally and if he's not willing to be aggressive, it really means nothing. But 76ers, they had to do this. They had to go all in. When you have a player like Joel Embiid on your team, and obviously the Nets, when you go out there, sign a Kevin Durant, sign a Kyrie Irving, like, you're just trying to win a championship. It didn't work out with Harden, so you get a player that's the complete opposite, who hopefully doesn't hurt your basketball team. We'll see what goes on to happen. But let me know down below your thoughts. Who do you think won? Do you think it was equal for both sides? I feel like a lot of players are happy. Ben Simmons happy. James Harden happy. I wonder what Seth Curry's stance is on this. And Andre Drummond. Just peace out, y'all.